boy's got good-looking sideburns. Hey, what's up? It's Jason Cage from B96 Radio in Chicago, and you're listening to the Hoppe and SuperRICH show.
All right, welcome back to the show. Give us a call. 630-785-2510. That is 630-785-2510. And you can find The Edge on Facebook and Twitter. Just search up The Edge on air to find us, or to make it more easier. Facebook.com/The Edge on air, and tweet at us, and we're on Instagram at The Edge on air. And yeah, that's about it for promoting. Also, check out all the upcoming events at theedgeonair.com/events-concerts. All right, what is coming up in SuperRICH news?
Yeah, so Bristol Palin explains her brawl, blames the media, attacks the Bidens and the Clintons, all in one note.
I guess they got really drunk. It'll explain in the article, and they made buffoons of themselves. And
this happened in September,
doesn't Sarah
apparently.
Palin, or someone in the Palin family, make a fool of themselves? Like, Sarah Palin doesn't even know what
newspaper. Not known for anything. No one. When you hear the name Palin, nothing positive comes out.
It's like when you think of Paris Hilton.
Right. You don't think of, like, good things.
Okay, when you think of Bush, it might not be the most positive thing, but he's been a lot more humble since he, of course, left the presidential office, obviously because he was bad at it, but it's hard to explain.
Well, it's when you think of, like, the last two presidents, there's always, like, a bunch of controversy that goes with it, like the Clintons with the whole sex scandal.
He was a good president.
And
people are realizing
the
that.
Bushes and now the Obamas.
But here's my thing.
That's not good.
But here's my thing. You don't think that much animosity or that much hatred anymore just because it's been like 7 years since Bush was in office. But here's the thing. Nothing positive comes to your mind when you first hear the last name Palin. And I gotta start walking around like they're God's gift to the earth. Like they are royalty.
Maybe that's how
you
people
are the
act.
Palins. Your mom was the governor of Alaska. She was in charge of snow.
Maybe that's how people act in Alaska, though. Maybe, like, everyone just, like, has a huge ego in Alaska.
I'm not going to hate...
Because there's not too many people there.
Yeah. I'm not going to hate on your daughter for getting pregnant at a young age, but you made the most out of it. You had all these tweets about it. If you're such a good mom, you don't get drunk at a club or wherever they were at and act like a buffoon. And here's the best part. People were defending her. Oh, well, she was drunk. She didn't know what she was doing. When you get drunk, you find out about a person. When I get drunk, I'm silly. I'm chatty. I'm a little obnoxious. And that's who I am. You don't see me beginning fights. Hey, SuperRICH, screw off. Like, I get really silly and
while
friendly.
On the air. Yeah, let's have a fight while on the air.
I'm
sure the listeners will love that.
We should have like a vodka drinking contest.
All right, so this is what the article says. 2 days after the brawl involving the Palin family was released, Bristol Palin has defended herself and her family in writing, explaining her side of what happened on the evening of September 6th. So she pretty much says, so there's like 4 parts of here. So here's the first part. She says the brawl started because someone wanted to get famous. And
what does that even mean, honey?
Well, I'm going to read what it means, apparently.
Okay.
Bristol Palin wrote that it all started when her group's friend got kicked out from a cheap shot from behind from a man who tweeted about to get famous. Then, and then according to Palin, that her 20-year-old sister said to the man's mother, "Get a hold of yourself, son."
Wait, who said that?
Her sister.
You know they're walking in like they're the Kardashians. You know they're walking in like they are royalty. I'm sure they weren't being humble and they were keeping to themselves. I'm sure they're being obnoxious, and they're like, do you know who I am? I'm Bristol Palin. Like, you know they were named.
No, I don't know who you are.
No one knows who you are, honey.
So here's the second part. She claims she got involved to defend her sister because those two were about to get into a fight, but things escalated quickly. So she said she had already gotten in her car, which was previously reported to be a stretch white Hummer. But she wrote, when her sister ran to me crying, telling me some lady had pushed her down, I got out of the car to go talk to her. Any big sister would do this. Family is the most important thing to me.
But you're being obnoxious. Be the better person. You're an embarrassment to just celebrities in general. Like, they walked in, like, they're VIP. Like, look at us. We are the Palins.
VIP for no reason.
Yeah. So
they walked in with this music, like, watch out. We the Palins. We're about to take over.
So after she got out of the car, I never got to talk to his mom because a guy in his late 30s or early 40s got in my face. He was towering over me, probably at 6 foot something. So maybe it was you, Ren. He puffed his chest out and started yelling. Then she wrote about what she previously described in a police statement,
but
saying
he didn't hurt you.
Saying a man she did not identify, but who a police report suggested was the homeowner.
But he didn't hurt you. He didn't touch you. He was yelling at you, probably because you're being obnoxious. You are lucky that you're famous because your mommy was picked by John McCain because he was desperate for some way to beat out Obama in 2008. You had your own Lifetime show basically because you got pregnant and you're famous for that. You were on Dancing with the Stars. You're not a star. They must have been desperate that season when they have Bristol, Connecticut on there. You wrote a memoir. Who the hell would buy that?
So apparently this guy got into her face, looked her in the eyes, and said some slurs to her. So number 3. She says she didn't punch a man several times with a strong right hook, so I guess that was something that somebody witnessed.
Here's the funny part.
But she claims she didn't do that.
She wrote this book, Not Afraid of Life, My Journey So Far. And one of the criticisms about
My journey so far.
And one of the criticisms about Bristol Palin's book is she's just 20 years old. This isn't a memoir.
Well, yeah, that's true.
That's not a memoir. That's like writing an autobiography about yourself.
Here's what the book is about.
And a memoir is an autobiography when you don't remember everything about it, where you made some things up.
Yeah, and here's the best part. The book is about her personal life, including tensions with the McCain family. Oh, yeah, you got to throw them under the bus, even though they are the reason you're famous, honey. If it wasn't for you, you would be no different. If it wasn't for the McCains, you would be no different than any girl who gets pregnant or any person on 16 and pregnant. You should be thanking them and kissing their ass that they made you famous. Here's what else the book is about. Her high school years and losing her virginity. The book received...
Nobody wants to hear about that.
What if the time when she lost her V-card was when she got pregnant? That would...
Probably.
I mean, the book received mixed to negative reviews. She also wrote another book.
Hopefully she didn't.
Well, anytime a 20-year-old writes a book, I don't think it's, I'm not expecting it to be very good.
And here's the name of her TV show. The Classy Family, the Classy Political Family. What if John McCain was president and he croaked? This family would have been the presidential family. Here is her TV show on Lifetime. It's called Bristol Palin, Life's a Trip, with 2 P's. Wow, riveting. It got, on IMDb, it has over 1,000 reviews. It got 1 out of 10.
I'm surprised it got such a high review.
Well, I mean, you have to give it something. You can't
What a high review.
You can't give it a half?
I mean,
you probably could, but yeah, so she claims she didn't punch a man several times with a strong right hook.
Of course
okay,
she did,
just
because she's
that,
a woman. She thinks she can get away with it.
Just hearing her say that phrase, denying because there's a strong right hook, shows that she did it.
It's like, I did it, but it wasn't a strong right hook. It was just a small left hook.
I get it. Men can punch back women. But women shouldn't be punching men because then you're provoking it, especially when alcohol's in your system.
Yeah, that's not good. So anyway, number 4 says, claims the liberal bias led to reporting on the brawl, says she has a job in normal life, and then she goes on and attacks the media for sort of, trying to fabricate this story.
What do you mean fabricate? What are they making up? You're just embarrassed that it's true.
And then, finally, she attacked the Bidens and the Clintons, saying they don't get the same negative coverage as conservative women.
Because they were actually presidents, and one is a vice president. And one actually had the 90s doing pretty good. Until everything happened with the cigar. Everything was going pretty good for Bill Clinton. Don't even compare yourself to Bill Clinton, honey.
Well, that's
you guys
the thing.
are no different than the Kardashians. Shut up.
By attacking the Bidens and the Clintons, she's pretty much putting herself on the same pedestal as them, where the Palin family is way below that.
If it wasn't for John McCain, you'd be no different than any other governor. Shut up.
Right.
And still famous for no reason.
Yeah.
They really are famous for no reason. Whoever let her write that book, or whoever at Lifetime thought it was a good idea.
Why would you ever publish it? Like she had to have gone and brought that to a publisher and said, "Here, I want to publish this book."
Have you guys heard of Sean Parnell?
No, I have
He's
not.
the governor of Alaska. He should be famous. Hey, what's the governor
He's probably
of
smarter
Idaho?
than Sarah Palin.
Oh yeah.
Guess what the name of the governor of Idaho is? Butch Otter.
Butch Otter.
That is a politician's name right there.
What is the governor of West Virginia? Let's see right here. Earl Ray Tomblin. Why aren't these guys famous? The Palins are no different than these guys.
Right.
If it wasn't for John McCain randomly picking you, and I remember my mom had on Sean Hannity, and he was freaking out. Like, this is going to ruin us in the race. Yeah, it did.
You know, funny, Sarah Palin, I remember they asked her what newspaper she read, and she didn't know which one she just said she read all of them, and when they asked her to be more specific, she said, "Oh, I don't know, I can't remember." So she doesn't even know what newspaper she reads. And then she said whenever she sees people from Russia in Alaska, she asks them, "Well, what are you doing here?" And if they don't give her a good answer, she tells them to get out.
I got
She'd
this
kick
right
them
here.
out.
Top 10 dumbest Sarah Palin quotes. Here is
How
number
could you
one.
limit it down to 10?
That must have been so hard for politicalhumor.com to do. All right, here's number one. As Putin rears his head and comes into the airspace of the U.S. of the A, where?
U.S. of A.
Where do they go? That's the actual quote. It's Alaska. It's just right over the border. That's like saying South America's right over the border. Number two.
There's a big ocean in between Russia and Alaska.
And here is Sarah Palin.
Apparently she thinks you can drive there.
Yeah. Here is Sarah Palin.
The Bering Sea is
Okay. Here is Sarah Palin's quote on how Obama should deal with Russian President Vladimir Putin during a speech. Mr. President, the one thing that prevents a bad guy with a nuke is a good guy with a nuke. What a dumbass. Here's number three. Okay, this one actually is a bit edgy. I'm not going to read it here. Here's number four. And this was with Katie Couric. As she was saying, and this was about the newspaper, if she was unable to name a single newspaper or magazine that she reads, like Risky said, all of them, any of them that had been in front of me over these years. You couldn't think of People magazine, you couldn't think of Time or Newsweek or the New York Post.
National Rifle Association Weekly. Couldn't think of any of them.
Or even some magazine that's like specific to Alaska, like the #1 Alaskan magazine.
Yeah, the Anchorage News. I don't know.
Here's another great quote. This was her as she was unable to name a Supreme Court decision that she disagreed with other than Roe v. Wade. That would be like me forgetting my own opinion on a show. Okay, here's the quote.
She couldn't think of anything else.
Could you imagine Ryan forgetting his opinion?
And this could have been our president. What if John McCain croaked? It would have been
I would have prayed that he wouldn't have.
I literally would have walked to Toronto and gone to Canada. Here's her quote as she could not remember another decision she made. Well, let's see. Let's see here. There's, of course, the great thing in America that has been ruling that there's never going to be another absolute consensus by another American. And there are these other issues again, like Roe v. Wade, where I believe they are best held on a level and addressed there. So you know, going through the times of America, there have been the other ones, you know.
How the hell did this woman get elected as the governor of Alaska?
She must have been intoxicated for a very long time.
And this is her as she wasn't sure about what Paul Revere did during that midnight ride.
She didn't know?
No,
what?
I know he didn't ride a horse and say the British are coming, that's for sure. In fact, I think we're still owned by England, aren't we?
That's why she's the governor of Alaska, because it's not connected to the rest of the state.
Yeah, exactly.
He was warned, the British, that they weren't gonna be taking away our arms. You know, she's really into the line. You know, by ringing those bells and
ringing those bells. No, it was like a lighthouse.
And
one if by land, two if by sea. Right?
I'm not done.
Something like that.
Making sure as he rode a horse through town to send those warning shots and bells that we're going to be sure, and we're going to be free, and we're going to be armed. All right, here's the last thing, as she said this on the riveting Glenn Beck show. Wow, you have two buffoons in the same room. You have Glenn Beck behind the mic doing the show as the host, and then you have that bonehead, that moron, that cretin, Sarah Palin, babbling. Read this quote for me.
Number 8.
As she was talking about how she would handle the current situation between the two North Koreas. And this was back in 2010. Just read this.
Obviously, we've got to stand with our North Korean allies. Oh, that's a big slip. That's a very big mistake.
Ryan, I'm done. Sarah Palin is a dumbass.
Coming up, the Hoppe and SuperRICH Show.
All right, we will get to that and more. But call the show, 630-785-2510. That is 630-785-2510. Here's a lesson we can learn from her. At least we're not as dumb as her. I mean, that was literally skin-crawlingly dumb.
How can you make a mistake saying that our allies are North Korea instead of South Korea? I mean, that's a big mistake.
I do not know what Paul Revere did.
Exactly.
And how can Bristol Palin walk around acting like she's royalty when her mom doesn't know that North Korea is bad, you dumbass? What a buffoon.
And she thinks that Alaska and Russia are just, a hop, skip, and a jump away. It's not,
and we got a tweet
far away at all.
From my guy, Replay on Twitter, who said that movie, Nailin' Palin, was a classic. We'll be right back.
Oh, man.
Hang on.
The SuperRICH Show.
This is theedgeonair.com, ICB Lombard, Chicago's unsigned music station.
This is an official broadcast of Hoppe Radio. For more info, check out hopperadio.com and hoppesworld.com.